cutting off my parents because they plan on leaving almost everything to my disabled brother. She posted on January 3, 2025. I, 24-year-old woman, have been grappling with a complex and frustrating situation involving my older brother, 32-year-old, and our parents. My brother, unfortunately, is what many would call a failure to launch. Growing up, he struggled academically. He never excelled in school and was always just barely scraping by. Unlike many people who struggle in school but find their niche in other ways, he hasn't managed to carve out a successful path for himself. After high school, my brother didn't pursue college. He attempted to go to 2 different trade schools, welding and automotive mechanics, but he flunked out of both. It's not as though he didn't have the opportunity or financial support. Our parents fully paid for both of his trade school attempts, and even after he failed, they continued to support him. Now, he works at a gas station, and while there's nothing wrong with working at a gas station, it's clear that my brother hasn't made any serious efforts to improve his situation or take responsibility for his future. The disparity between how our parents have treated us is glaring. I joined the military at 17, determined to make something of myself without relying on them. During my time in the military, I earned my associate degree, and once I left, I used my GI Bill to complete my bachelor's degree. I've since married, bought a house with my husband, and now I'm pursuing my master's degree. I've worked hard to build a stable and successful life for myself, and I've done it all without any financial assistance from our parents. Our parents have always insisted that we earn our own way, but apparently that rule only applies to me. While they refuse to pay for my college education or contribute to my wedding, they've spent thousands of dollars supporting my brother. They paid for his trade school attempts, repeatedly gave him cash when he was behind on rent, and provided countless loans that we all know will never be repaid. They've supported him in cosplaying as an adult while holding me to a much higher standard. It's not just the financial disparity that bothers me, it's the blatant favoritism. My parents have always had a soft spot for my brother, and they seem to excuse his every failure as though he's a helpless child who can't take care of himself. My mother even refers to him as disabled, despite the fact that he's not. She's had him tested for every kind of learning disability imaginable, but the only thing he's ever been diagnosed with is a below-average IQ. While I understand that he may face certain challenges, having a lower IQ is not the same as having a disability. It feels like my mother is grasping for an excuse to justify her enabling behavior. Recently, things came to a head when our parents started working on their will. They informed me that they plan to leave almost everything to my brother. Their reasoning is that he isn't very capable and needs their support, even after they're gone. On top of that, they expect me to act as their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, and handle all the logistics of their end-of-life care. Essentially, they want me to shoulder all the responsibility while my brother gets all the financial benefit. When they told me about their plans, I was livid. I told them that if they want to give my brother everything, they can, but I won't have any part in it. I'm done with them. My parents tried to guilt me into agreeing, telling me to have some grace and understand that he needs more support. But why should I? I've worked hard for everything I have, and they've made it clear that they value my brother's needs over my contributions. Things have been tense and hostile ever since. My mother recently had a doctor's appointment and asked me for a ride since she's medically unable to drive. I told her to ask her favorite child or pay for an Uber. I know it was harsh, but I've reached my breaking point. My brother actually called me afterward to apologize. He told me he didn't want me to be mad at him and that he understands why I'm upset. I told him that I'm not angry with him, I'm angry with our parents. He didn't ask to be treated this way and he hasn't done anything wrong. My frustration is entirely with the way our parents have handled the situation. I know this decision might seem extreme to some, but I feel like I've been pushed to my limit. For years, I've watched my parents pour their time, energy, and money into supporting my brother while giving me little more than a pat on the back. I've tried to be understanding, but their recent decision to leave almost everything to him while expecting me to manage their affairs is the final straw. To clarify, my mother's claims about my brother being disabled are completely unfounded. He doesn't have any official diagnosis or condition that would prevent him from living independently or holding a job. He's just not very motivated. My parents have coddled him to the point where he's never had to face the consequences of his actions, and now they expect me to pick up the pieces after they're gone. I'm not saying I want my parents to leave me their money, I've never expected or asked for anything from them. But the disparity in how they've treated us is hurtful. I've worked so hard to build a life for myself, and it feels like they don't even acknowledge my efforts. Meanwhile, my brother, who has repeatedly failed to take responsibility for his life, is rewarded for his inaction. I don't know what the future holds for my relationship with my parents or my brother. For now, I've chosen to distance myself from them. Maybe they'll come to understand my perspective, or maybe they won't. Either way, I'm determined to focus on my own life and the people who truly value me. Let's read some relevant comments. First comment was, he does not sound disabled to me if he went to 2 different trade schools, welding and mechanic, just lazy. Odds are if he gets the money it'll not last him long, then he'll be looking to you to pay his bills. She replied to first comment, he's not disabled but he's very unintelligent and has poor critical thinking skills. He doesn't really understand how to manage money at all, despite having been taught how. Frequently asked question is, how is your brother disabled? Medical issues, etc. She gives a FAQ answer, he's not, he's just unintelligent. I meant to put disabled in quotation marks. My mother refers to him as disabled but he's been tested and has no actual disabilities. My mother thinks being dumb is a disability. Second comment was, if his IQ is that low he is intellectually disabled. An IQ below 75 is considered intellectually impaired. It doesn't excuse the implied favoritism. She replied to second comment. When they had us tested, mine was 131 I believe, and his was around 80? It's been so many years I'm having a hard time remembering. It definitely was above the cutoff for being considered intellectually disabled because I remember them being surprised that he scored above it. Frequently asked questions. Did OOP plan to take care of her parents when they get old? She give a FAQ answer. I originally was going to take care of them in their old age, but I now have decided they're going to a nursing home if it's up to me. I'm done. Third comment was, but they want me to be their medical power of attorney, manage their estate, etc. This is a huge ask even if you stood to inherit. That you're expected to do all the heavy lifting and then be your brother's keeper after they passes, it's a hell of a lot. Frequently asked question is, why can't OOP's brother live with their parents to take care of them? She answered, they don't want to ask him. He's forgetful and they probably wouldn't be able to rely on him anyways. She posted an update on January 5, 2025, 2 days later. Hey everyone, I wanted to provide an update on my earlier post and address some of the questions and mixed reactions I received. I've had a lot to think about since sharing my story, and I recently sat down with my parents to discuss everything. It didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but it gave me clarity on where I stand and where I want to go from here. First, let me clarify something about my brother. He is not actually disabled as some people assumed. His IQ is just over 80, which is below average but not low enough to qualify as a disability where we live. Here, an IQ below 70 is considered a threshold for intellectual disability and eligibility for certain benefits. My parents have always babied him because of his lower IQ and his struggles growing up. They've repeatedly told me that he's not like other people and needs more help because he lacks the resilience and problem-solving skills that others have. From a young age, he developed low self-esteem due to his struggles in school. He was quick to give up on anything he found difficult, and my parents would swoop in to cushion the blow every single time. While I understand that it can be hard to watch your child struggle, they've enabled him to the point where he has little drive to improve his situation. That said, my brother is not completely incapable. He works a steady job at a gas station, pays most of his bills on time, drives his own car and lives with a roommate. While his life isn't what some might consider successful, he is functioning on his own. Yet my parents continue to treat him as though he's completely dependent on their support and unable to survive without them. Now on to the update. I recently sat down with my parents to have an honest conversation about how I've been feeling. I explained to them that I've always felt like they've treated me unfairly compared to my brother. From the time I was a teenager, they emphasized the importance of independence and self-reliance, at least when it came to me. They made it very clear that once I turned 18, I'd be on my own. Knowing I wouldn't have their support, I joined the military at 17 to secure a future for myself. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the only way I could afford an education without taking on massive debt. During my time in the military, I worked hard to earn my associate degree, and when I got out, I used my GI Bill to complete my bachelor's degree. I've since married a wonderful man, bought a house, and built a stable, happy life for myself. Meanwhile, my parents have gone above and beyond for my brother. They paid for him to attend 2 different trade schools, both of which he failed out of. They gave him money to start a business, which never materialized, bailed him out when he was short on rent, and have generally enabled his lack of ambition. They've always excused their favoritism by saying that he needs more help and can't handle things the way you can. It's not just about the money. What really stings is the emotional disparity. It's clear that they've always loved and cared for him more, and they've shown that through their actions. They've been willing to bend over backward for him, but for me? Nothing. They didn't contribute to my education, they didn't help pay for my wedding, and they've never offered me the same kind of support they've given him. When I brought all of this up during our conversation, my parents were quick to dismiss my feelings. They interrupted me constantly, talking over me and telling me I was being ungrateful. They insisted that I'm an adult and can handle myself, whereas my brother needs more help. They told me I'm not entitled to a dime of their money when they die and that I need to step up and do my duty as their daughter by taking care of them as they age. At one point, my mother even tried to guilt-trip me, saying it was wrong of me to refuse to take her to doctor's appointments or help care for her because of money. But it's not about the money, it's about the principle. Why should I be expected to shoulder all the responsibility for their care while they continue to coddle my brother and make excuses for him? Eventually, I realized that no matter what I said, they weren't going to listen or care. They've made up their minds about how they view me and my brother, and nothing I say is going to change that. So I told them that if they want to give everything to my brother, that's fine, but I'm done. I told them to remove me from their will entirely. I won't be their medical power of attorney, I won't manage their estate, and I won't take care of them when they're older. When I said this, my mother was shocked. She asked me if I would really put my own parents in a nursing home. I looked her in the eye and asked, "Would you really let your 17-year-old daughter join the military and risk harassment and danger just to get an education because you wouldn't help her?" She didn't have an answer to that. My parents started crying and yelling at me, but I didn't stay to listen. I left and I haven't spoken to them since. Now that the dust has settled, I feel a sense of relief. For the first time in my life, I don't feel obligated to bend over backward for people who clearly don't value me. I have a wonderful husband, a stable home, and a bright future ahead of me. I'm about to start working on my master's degree, and my husband and I are even talking about starting a family soon. Letting go of my parents has lifted a massive weight off my shoulders. They're adults and they can deal with their own problems, just like I've dealt with mine. And honestly, I feel like I'm finally free to live my life on my own terms. Not sure if it's the update we wanted, but it is what it is. Let's read some relevant comments. First comment was, "Honestly, I would have cut them off at the wedding if they had $1 million and didn't even give me a $20 vase or something. Who shows up to a wedding empty-handed?" She replied to first comment, "I've been to a lot of weddings and I would never show up without a wedding gift. It's rude. Not to mention my in-laws actually paid for the entire wedding, and my cheap parents became a major talking point. It was very embarrassing." Second comment was, "Your parents are TAs. I know this might be a sucky suggestion, but you may need to go and see with your brother as well. He'll be stuck with their care, and there's going to be a high likelihood they'll tell him to reach out to you for help. Or your brother may take the easy way out and stick them in a nursing home, which they totally deserve." She replied to second comment, "My brother's not a terrible guy. He makes bad choices sometimes, but at the end of the day he's still my older brother, and he tries to be good to me. I wouldn't cut him off without a good reason." Third comment was, "Auntie, I like how they told you that you're an adult and not entitled to their help and you threw those words right back in their faces." Fourth comment was, "They tell you they're not leaving you a dime yet expect you to care for them in their old age, drive them places and handle the estate when they die? Do they not see how ludicrous they are?" Fifth comment was, "They've spent so long using you as their personal doormat they're not even able to break from their delusion that you'll keep presenting your face for them to step on." Thank you for listening the story to the end. If you enjoy our videos, so don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a good day, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it and hit the notification bell icon to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.